Hey there, folks. I'm Isaac, and I'm at Rito Village.
Ooh, and I'm Claire, and I defeated Ganon.
Ooh, one up in me. No!
And this is
Make That Game!
Where we pitch the latest
The greatest.
video game ideas.
That aren't ever... Well, they're not in the process of getting made, but I have high hopes for these ones today.
High hopes for the video games.
High hopes for the video game.
Amazing. All right. Well, folks, it's been a while.
Yeah, we took a little bit of a hiatus. I hope that's okay. We don't need your permission. You're not our dads. Or are you? So, Claire, we are a podcast that pitches video game ideas.
That's true.
Do you have any video game ideas to pitch?
I do, and I feel badly because I've had a lot of time to come up with a video game idea, right? Like it's been some time.
It's been...
Oh boy, 3 weeks. And I had a really cool idea, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to totally develop this. I'm going to have story and lots of cool stuff about it." But no, did I do that? What do we think?
I think yes.
No, not really.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, I'm sure it's a whip banger of a doodle dop.
It totally is, and I think you're going to have some cool ideas about it. I really think this could be the reason I was holding off on. I wanted to develop it more because I feel like it could be like a real game, guys. Like a real one.
Those are our favorite kinds of pitches.
But I don't
the
have
Pinocchios, we call them.
Enough detail. So it's just based on a couple space operas I've read lately.
Oh, Star Wars.
And no. The idea though, so that's the thing is I don't really have as much of a plot or what would it be? Like a plot or trajectories or goals, which I feel like are really important in games. But as this is a game design podcast, I feel like the design is kind of the cool part.
Yeah.
Which is it's a collaborative game, but you both play the same character. And one person is in control of like body movements and outward expressions and appearance. And the other character is in charge of like ancient knowledge / fighting.
Okay. How do we manifest this in gameplay terms? How like... I understand one player getting to move. How do you manifest ancient knowledge as a gameplay mechanic?
Yeah,
let's talk. Let's
don't worry,
let's
I have an answer. So basically, if you say you come upon either a puzzle or a dialogue that has options, as one would, I imagine this to be like an action adventure game.
Okay.
And in those instances, like. So basically, here's how the game starts with like the body control person more in control, and they can choose to give advantage or to give control over to their second like collaborator. So say you get to a point with a question that that like they're supposed to know, you press a button that's like allow them to answer, and then it would like the other person's like split screen or something. We could have a way that they can only see it, but it like basically tells you the right answer or gives you like more insight into the question, kind of like an investigation check in D&D.
Okay. All right. I'm going to throw something out. Are you open to workshopping?
Well, I'm not really done with the idea.
Okay.
I thought, so like another part of it would be that like the more you let your second player like make choices or like control battles and things like if the second player like does something at the same time as you, then they can have more of a higher chance of succeeding in the sense that like they can overpower you and your movement and like overpower the gameplay. But when you work in sync, then like that's the ideal is like you're letting the collaborator do like play to their strengths, you're playing to your strengths, and then you're like solving some kind of mystery in space or something. I see it take place on a space station, but I don't really know I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what we're doing here, but that's what we are doing.
We're designing the mechanics is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that's pretty much the end of the pitch.
All right, interesting.
But you said you had ideas.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just wanted to finish my pitch before you started ripping it up to pieces.
I'm going to add to it. So I was thinking, because you said it's like an action adventure kind of thing, it does sound like there's a lot of idle on one or the other player's part. And to avoid that, I was thinking that it could be something where the body player is like the action adventure. They're running around, they're fighting stuff a lot. Then while they're doing that, the other player, the mind player, as it were, is solving puzzles or something. And or just doing something on like their side of the screen, and then like let's just make something up. They're playing Tetris, right? And each time they break 4 more rows or something, they get some kind of hint for like how to proceed with the overall game where the body is controlling, right? So like, you know, you clear 4 lines and then it says wolves are afraid of fire as you're going through a sequence with like a lot of space wolves on this space station. So like then the other player has received the arcane knowledge from the mind player, and they can then apply it. And then you said that you can switch bodies, and maybe if I'm thinking of the correct space opera series, which I'm maybe not. I might
See,
might
I'm
not
trying
be.
to keep it. The reason I'm not being specific is because I don't want to give any spoilers, and I'm actually like the concept of this game is a spoiler,
Right.
so I can't be very specific.
So I'm trying to be shady as well. But if I'm thinking of the correct one, the segments where the body player gives up control of the body to the mind player, the body player could still be doing like another action sequence in, let's say, some kind of other plane of existence, some kind of like mind space world.
Right.
Like they retreat back into the mind,
Well,
and they
see-
have to do something
well, I guess that's part
to
of
progress.
to me. That's part of the challenge. Is like, yes, I wanted to separate it just body and mind, but then that really doesn't allow for that kind of thing, because then why would the body player be in their mind and the fighting player is the one that's taking control? Like, I don't know. So I feel like that, but I do think as you were talking, I was thinking this would be better as a game that you would play over the internet and not in person. Because if you're playing it in person, you can easily like talk things out, and then it's harder to give secret hints to one player or the other.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be an online game that you play with, but it has to be 2 people. I don't know. I guess my goal in this design was to create a collaborative game that is a little sinister, that you can have a little bit
Sinister.
because you can have a little control over each other. You know, like there's a little
Yeah.
bit of like I can gain more or less control, and there's a little bit of a battle, an internal battle. It's the character and you. So I thought that was like a unique thing where most collaborative games are like straight up collaborative, and you're not really trying to sabotage each other in any way. Whereas this one, there's a little bit of potential sabotage, especially if you don't like the way one is going. But at the same time, you're sharing a body, so you have to figure that out together.
Okay. Nice. All right.
I don't know. See, it's a big idea. It's like
It is a full.
so it needs so much development is why I'm like, it's not really a fully baked notion.
Well, how often do we have fully baked?
I feel like the
notions
smaller
here?
the game, the more fully baked it is. Like
That's
we've
true.
pitched games that are like little games that could be made and be done, and that's the game.
We bake cupcakes here. We
This
don't
is like
we don't do competition cakes.
It's
We
like
do
a 3-tier
cupcakes.
cake
Yeah.
idea, but I really am passionate about it. I don't have a name for it though.
Oh, let's call it space opera game. SOG.
Ew. My soggy game.
Yeah, it's a little underbaked, so it's still soggy.
Oh my gosh.
It works on multiple levels. I don't know
Okay.
why you don't like this.
All right. Well, listeners, it's up to you. What do you think?
Email us.
Is my game named SOG, or do you have a better idea? Because I don't. Anyway, Isaac, do you have a better idea of a game than I do?
I do, and actually, this one
It's
went
better?
through. Oh, I did not mean to answer.
I walked you
I
into
just
that.
you got me. No. So I have a naming situation in my game. I actually came up with a name. It's something that I don't do. I was gonna call it Hoplon,
Okay.
but it turns out that Hoplon is a mistakenly used name for the shield of a hoplite.
What's a hoplite?
A hoplite is like a Greek warrior. They're the guys, they have like the horsehair hat, commonly depicted. They have the horsehair hat, a round shield, and like a spear. And they
Okay.
march together in a formation, and they form a phalanx.
I always picture that as Roman. Am I wrong?
Romans, depending on the era, were more, they had, I believe it was called a scutum shield, which is like the rectangular one with a little bit of a curve.
They scoot around him?
Yeah, and then they also use gladiuses, which are swords, not spears. Their style of warfare actually beat the phalanx style of warfare. They
So
showed up with
specific.
their legion, and it was just a more effective formation to use in combat. So they overwhelmed the Greeks, and the phalanx style of warfare died out with the Legion. But this goes into my game idea, actually. So I was going to call it Hoplon. Hoplon is apparently a misused name for the shield. It's actually called, I now don't remember the actual name off the top of my head. I'm going to say Aspis.
Okay.
An Aspis shield. So instead of naming it Hoplon, I'm going to be historically accurate and not use the mistaken phrase and just call it Aspis, which is less evocative in my opinion, but it is more historically accurate.
I would argue that Hoplon means very little to me as a layperson. And so I don't, like, if I saw a game called Aspis, it sounds at least more ancient.
That's true. All right. Well, see, it's
Hoplon
working in multiple ways.
I thought it was going to be about frogs. I thought you were going to be like, and you're hopping along and you're a frog. And I was like, great. I was all bought into that one. And
so enough prelude here. Let's get into the meat of the business.
Right.
That's not a phrase. The meat of the business. So this is a game. It is a puzzle strategy kind of game. So you have a tile board, like a board of tiles. And you have, I imagine them to be like woodcut, like little chits, like Scrabble chits.
And so just to be clear, there is an episode where, and I'll link it in the show notes, where we discuss the legitimacy of the word chits. And it is a real word. Despite how silly and goofy it sounds.
Yes. So like little, I imagine this to aesthetically look like you are on like a wooden gridded board with wooden chits. And they, instead of letters, like in Scrabble, they have images of different types of soldiers. And what the gameplay is you place these chits. You have a pile of chits. And
chits are basically like chips or little game pieces, for those who don't know.
Yeah, like
I had
little
never heard this word before.
Game
the other
pieces.
Conversation we had, yeah.
Yeah, so you have a pile of them decided by the level. The level has some preset. There's multiple angles that like the level design can come in, like preset chits of like, oh, you have to have certain chits in certain places to begin with, and then you build around that. There could be terrain pieces like a forest, a tree chit. That represents a tree on the battlefield, and then there's the enemy chits. So what happens is you place your formation, and then when you're satisfied with it, you press the go button, and then your little chits fight the enemy chits. And depending on how well you positioned your formation, and like the strengths and weaknesses of each type of soldier compared to the enemy soldiers, and like the terrain setup and all that, like it kind of just plays like a little auto battle. And if your formation was good, you eventually win. It tells you your score based on like how many soldiers you lost, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, that's the game. You set up a formation and you see how it does against the enemy formation. So it's a strategy game. It's a puzzle game. It set up like that. You could have a competitive mode where instead of like a preset challenge of, as an example, you are playing a legion, a Roman legion. So you have Roman legion chits versus a preset enemy formation of hoplites and a phalanx.
They're not hoplites, though, are they?
No, they are hoplites.
I thought you just said they weren't.
No, hoplon. So
oh, boy.
Hoplon is how people, I guess, mistakenly refer to the type of shield that the hoplites used.
Oh,
but
okay.
in actuality, it's called the Aspis.
The hoplites are...
So
the hoplites are people. The hoplon is the... Not
is the equipment, yes. And I never actually looked up what a hoplon correctly is. We're diverging. That's
right. We're never allowed to diverge on this podcast.
No. We keep
yeah,
all our ducks in a row. Anyways,
quack.
That's Aspis.
Okay.
That's my game. That's my puzzle formation warfare game.
See, I was about to say, like, oh, I think you invented a board game, not a video game. But then the autoplay is kind of not a board game. I will always be confused by video games, though, that like are card or piece based, I guess. Because to me, I'm like, that's just so tactile.
Yeah.
But you created a game that both you and also my dad would really like to play.
Yeah, I love Age of Empires, and your dad likes Caesar. Boom. There we go. Yeah, and well, you know what? I guess I didn't really dig too deep into the actual mechanics of what that autoplay means. I left a lot up to the imagination. So I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna go in. So like I'm just going to give an example of a very basic piece. So like you have an archer, and the way that the archer will work is it will stay in the position that you initially set it down. When enemy chits come into range, it will fire an arrow at them. If enemy chits come too close, the archers will then back up and then attempt to, once they get a safe distance away, if they're capable of it, they will then shoot more arrows. So you have to figure out like where you place the archers so that their like little AI gives you the most benefit. And you have to avoid like them just being run down by cavalry, which will be chits that like move forward at a very fast rate. So like they might be able to move like 3 tiles at a time, and the archers only move 1. So the archers would get easily run down and only get like 1 volley of attacks off. And then you have pieces like the aforementioned hoplite, who like will move forward if he has a certain number of hoplites around him, and will just attack any enemies that get within spear range. So like you have that kind of AI where a lot of the pieces will have rules based on like what other pieces are near them that decide how they behave, because like no soldier just wants to blindly march forward all by themselves into an army of the enemy. So like no piece will just do that. Like you'll have to make a formation where all the pieces are like comfortable. I'm doing air quotes here, where all the pieces are comfortable with advancing forward, because if they're not comfortable, they won't advance forward, and then, you know, you'll probably lose. So that's an example of like the mechanical design of all these pieces of how you're solving the puzzles. How you're solving the puzzles that are set forth by like the enemy positioning and terrain and stuff.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, again, not my type of game, but it's like a very well thought out, and I can imagine the game exactly as you described it. So
yeah,
and I think
it's a cool, in my head at least, a cool graphical style.
I do think so, and I think there's definitely a huge market for that.
All right, well,
is it my market, listeners? It's not, but I'm fine with that.
Since you pointed out the huge market for it, I expect you to have the code for it on my desk Monday.
As if I'm the coder. Monday.
Yeah, no, this.
I still make Isaac code my little things for Google Sheets. I still say, formulas. Please come in, and then he says, just ask ChatGPT.
Just ask ChatGPT.
I say, oh yeah, okay.
Anyway, do you have a question?
I have. Okay, here's one. How excited are you for Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom comes out 2 days from now, May 12th.
May 12th.
We're
Friday.
Recording. You now know when we're recording, people.
Yeah. So actually, everyone listening to this and future us, we've already played the game.
Yeah, we've played it since the second it came out. We stayed up late. We did the midnight release.
Well, if we did the midnight release, it would have been Thursday, right? Thursday at midnight. So Friday at midnight. So yeah, Thursday night.
Anyways, we're gonna be playing it. Take the time off.
So that's why
retroactively go back.
I finished Breath of the Wild on 2 days ago.
I have not yet. So once we're done recording this, I have to go through the entire Rito quest line. Yeah. Finish that guy, and then I can take down Ganon or do memories. I still don't understand what the memories do, but man, I've got like 950 Koroks left to find. I'm never going to finish this game.
Well, you can go back after you defeat Ganon too. I mostly wanted it because I didn't want spoilers. I wanted, since it is a sequel, I wanted it to flow nicely into the game. But yeah, there are a couple things I guess that I would go back to do. It got to a point where I was just grinding and like it didn't feel as valuable, I guess. Like it was like, for what though? And so I was just like, it's time to fight Ganon. I guess this could be a game design question of like, how do you let players know like it's time, or is there never, or do they just have to know on their own? Like,
oh no, that you'll never be able to tell someone it's time unless you like explicitly like hard code.
But I guess,
timer.
I guess you're right, but like I guess in Breath of the Wild they do kind of design in like the fact that I had reached a point where the quests I was on, like the side quests, they weren't really like as fulfilling. You know, like I'd used up all of the big story fulfilling things. And so, yes, I could like go through and complete all of them forever, but it's like at some point it's just going to feel pointless.
So that's sort of the problem. That, like, you weren't feeling any more satisfaction, but what about another player? Like,
well, then they can keep going. That's such, like, they give you the choice.
Exactly. I don't think that there's any one thing that a game designer developer can do that will, like,
tell you, like,
apply universally enough, except
for an open world game.
Yeah, except for a literal time limit. Like, the best that they can do is not, like, have leveled creatures or enemies. So, like, some open world games will have it. So, like, as you gain a level, all the monsters in the world gain the level as well. So you're always fighting equally leveled things, and it's kind of set up that way a lot of the time, so that, like, if you go to area A and then B, but another player goes to B and then A, it's the same difficulty in both in that order for both players. I
kind of wish that Breath of the Wild did that, because
it sort of does. Because I guess as you go through, there's less, like, blue and red bokoblins, and there's more black and white bokoblins.
But they're all this. But, like, they all. So say, like, as you go through what? As you go through time, or as you go through the space of the game?
I haven't figured out exactly how it's working, but I mean, and maybe it's just that I am naturally going to higher level or stronger
I think that's true,
areas.
Because here's the thing, like, when I go back to early areas, there's still the red ones who are killed in one shot.
Oh, I thought I was noticing that there was more.
Probably because you're moving on to different areas.
Okay, that might be.
I'm thinking, because I don't know. I haven't noticed that, and I also did everything backwards, because I went to the first. Well, I mean, like, there's no right way to do it. It is fully open world, but you can tell the game designer designed some things to be easier. Yes. And when I went to what was supposed to be the first horse stable, definitely last, because it was, like, telling me what horses were and, like, how stables worked. Like, all of the dialogue was like, did you know you can ride a horse? And I was like, oh no. Yeah. Oops. I did know that. I've known that for many, many a time.
She had already collected every horse in the game.
That's not true.
No.
That's not true. Don't. But anyway, that's not really a question. But yeah, I guess, like, I have very different play style. It's very hard for me once I've completed the main task of a game to go back and keep playing, with the exception being Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which I feel like I can never stop playing.
No, it's impossible. It's a Kirby game. But there is no end to Kirby games.
Yeah, but generally speaking, like, I could go back into the file, but I feel, like, weird about it. Like, Ganon's gone. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Fight. Spoiler alert.
No.
Ganondorf next week.
No, in 2 days.
Yeah.
This week.
So
right now. Anyway, that was I don't have a question. Do you have a question?
No, so we did mention a while, I guess the last episode at this point, so it would have been 3 weeks ago if you're listening to these episodes as they come out. But the topic of copyright and, like, game mechanics and stuff did come up, and I have prepared an answer for that. But we might just be able to save this for next episode at this point, because we did talk a bit about Tears of the Kingdom. All right, I'm ready to move on to the next segment, the rapid fire round, where we generate 3 random words and we have to come up with a game idea, including a name, a core mechanic, and anything else.
No, we had an and at one point and we never came up with it, I don't think.
Oh, okay. There are no consequences for failing this, as we've learned repeatedly in the past. The 2 times that we've failed.
We keep promising we're going to come up with a fail.
Yeah, but
case.
We
have to design our own game design podcast a little bit better, okay?
Yeah.
We're
game designers, not podcast designers.
Look, just be happy that we're back after a hiatus, okay?
Exactly.
We're not promising to be perfect here.
Yeah, so I've got a 5-minute timer.
Okay.
We have 5 minutes to use those 3 words to come up with those 2 things I said. Bounce ideas back and forth off of each other. And yeah, we have to use all 3 words in some way.
I think they know.
Okay. Well, I'm just vamping. I'm vamping.
You're vamping? I was ready.
All right. Oh, I didn't know. Okay. I'm going to start the timer for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. The first 3 words are detective, agriculture, houseplant.
Okay, agriculture and houseplant
Really,
do kind of play
yes.
into
and
each
I
other
love
very
plant
well.
detective as like, let's go with that.
Okay, so like you're a little like houseplant. I'm imagining just like a potted
You're
plant
a
with like
plant.
3 leaves,
That's very good.
and you have to solve the turnip mafia problem. No, this I'm just trying to go into Turnip Boy here. No,
So I like the idea. So I guess my thought was like there's a human detective who is solving an agriculture mystery and there's some houseplants involved. But I like the idea of the houseplant is the detective, but then we have to get agriculture in there somehow.
I mean, I feel like at the point that the houseplant is the detective, like we naturally have just stepped into a world where vegetables are people.
But like agriculture,
that's the agriculture part.
To me, agriculture is more of like a system of farming. Like a Stardew Valley would be agriculture.
So, okay, you do raise a good point, and I do like the idea of a detective man, a human. I like the idea of this opening up where like a murdered rich person, like I feel like it's like a trope to have like a detective story where like the detective has to protect a child or a pet or something.
It's the houseplant.
The houseplant is the super valuable thing that the mafia is after, that the detective has been entrusted with. And then you have to figure out why this houseplant is so important, while also keeping it safe. I don't know. I'm not sure if you could mechanically do it with a houseplant. Like you can escort a small child or a pet through like a video game, like Plague Tale Innocence does it. But you can't do that with a houseplant.
Why not? Like it's a video game.
Oh, wait. No, you're right. You have to choose whether to pick it up or put it down.
Yeah,
and you carry it around
and
with
your little
you,
hand,
and
like
you
a little
have
baby.
You have to like decide the correct points to put it down, but also like protect it while it's down, because like if you put it down in one room and then go to like have a shootout in the next room, maybe a guy looking for it comes around, sees the plant, grabs it, and starts running off with it, and now you got to chase him down and get your plant back without breaking it.
What a situation.
We've got quite the game idea developing here, folks. I'm feeling thrilled about this.
Wait, so how does agriculture come in again?
Obviously
it's an agriculture mystery.
Well, it's the agriculture mystery. What I'm thinking is, spoiler alert, the eventual crime. The reason the plant is so important is this rich person that like you have stumbled upon or that was protecting the plant. They're like the CEO of a plant corporation or something, and this is a new breed of like superfood or something that will like solve world hunger, but obviously other big agriculture companies don't want that for insidious purposes. They don't want world hunger to be solved, or they at the very least want to be the ones to do it. So yeah, eventually you get to a point in the game where it's like you've got the plant and big moral choice. You can either destroy the plant yourself or solve world hunger.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Just put the biggest choice in the world in the player's hands.
Wow. Spoiler alert for The Last of Us. It's like The Last of Us.
I wasn't even you
literally created this similar like save your like pseudo daughter or save the world. You
grow to love the plant, yes.
I love it. All
right, but now we need a name.
It's called My Plant and Me. It's called Plant It. It's called the plant.
The Maltese plant.
I don't get that.
Well, there's a famous detective story called The Maltese Falcon.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it either, which is why I'm hesitant to use that.
Okay.
I actually didn't know that movie was a detective movie.
I think it's a detective movie.
I believe
might be
I've
wrong.
never seen it. So
I think it's a noir detective movie.
Well,
but
we could call it Plant PI. We could call it.
All of this is a very goofy tone for a game where you're supposed to like.
I think but to me, it's goofy. Is it not goofy? I thought it's
a little goofy, but I'm with a name like that, that's making me think Turnip Boy level of goofy. But I'm more thinking like it's a semi-serious.
Okay, I thought it was goofy.
Okay, so we've got 10 seconds.
Name it.
I'm gonna
Plant Noir.
Plant Noir.
I'm not losing. We're not losing. We won that one. We did it.
With 1 second left on the clock, folks, Plant Noir, the totally semi-goofy but very serious game.
I'm sorry I turned your game into a goofy game. Okay. But I didn't want to lose. You were frozen.
It's hard to come up with a detective name when detective isn't like my genre.
Yeah. A detective isn't my genre
And
either.
I
guess like the case of the blah, blah, blah. Like that's
hard-boiled eggplant.
right, because that's not goofy at all.
You're right.
That's not goofy at all. Yeah.
You're right.
I feel like the serious detective stuff is always like the case of the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So we need more thought on that. But anyway.
I kept thinking about Dick Tracy and
Well, that's already goofy.
Wow. All right, let's I'm going to generate I'm going to do 3 more.
And I'm going to generate 3 random words.
She's going to generate 3 words. I'm going to set the timer in 3, 2, 1. Go.
Trust, respect, and fat.
Okay. Cooking. It's about cooking.
Yeah. Trust and respect.
You have to trust and respect the ingredients.
Is it the menu, the video game?
Oh my God.
I love you, chef.
Oh my God. If you haven't seen the menu.
We were just spoiling everything.
We're not gonna spoil the menu. I am gonna say you have to go out and watch the menu.
It is important.
But like, okay, let's say so I see this going 2 ways. This is either a game about you climbing the ranks of a chef in a kitchen from like whatever the line cook or whatever up to being either the sous chef or the actual chef, or you play as the chef and have to manage the kitchen and harbor trust and respect from the chefs under you.
I like that way because it kind of can build into that city building almost aspect.
Exactly, yeah.
Where you've got like what do you call it? Like happiness ratings or satisfaction ratings, yeah.
And like you are like trying to acquire the ingredients and like different tools and stuff, and you like set the menu, and certain chefs might be satisfied.
I play this game.
Might
100%.
like the menu that you have, but like if they aren't, they might get frustrated, and that brings their work down. And if their work is down, maybe you have to fire them, or maybe you have to come up with something else. Like,
I think there should be...
make you the dessert chef instead of like because you hate cooking steaks or whatever.
Yeah, just like I said, it's basically a city builder, but the city is the kitchen.
Yes,
and I think this is great.
This is great. I mean, hey, we've got a game there, and we've got 3 minutes to come up with a name. So, hey, how are you doing today?
No,
we can't just burn time. Okay,
no.
All right.
I think one of my ideas would be calling it "I Love You, Chef." I think that's cute.
You know what? First thought, best thought. I Love You, Chef is a great name for a video game. If I saw that on Steam right now, I would click on it. I would figure it out. I would find out it's not a dating sim and go, well, and then I'd see that it's a city builder and be like, oh, wow.
Oh, man. I like also just how many food-related games we've come up with on this podcast. Like, it's many. It's many.
In a way, we just came up with 2 in a row. Also, there was 2 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock when I paused it.
We did a good job.
Yeah.
We have kicked one final round. Isaac, are you ready?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
How can I help?
I'm hyped. I'm just, I don't think.
You don't think you can't even handle
we can't even top this one. We can't even top that. We can't even top I Love You, Chef. But okay. All right. I'm going to psych myself up.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. I feel like we had this last time, or similar words. Transaction, housing, commission.
So you play as the Transaction Housing Commission, which is also it's THC.
Oh God.
So this is a weed game for weeders, for weed heads.
Okay.
I don't know how to incorporate that, but like Transaction Housing Commission, that's a generic enough name where.
What if that's the game? What if it's like no one knows what the commission does?
Okay, what does the gameplay?
I don't know.
Like,
just like
the commission is just like a you work at the Transaction Housing Commission, and it is this is another mystery game, but you start off as just the drone, right? You're just doing your desk work. Yeah. You've got all this paperwork coming through, and it's all esoteric, and like so the game starts off with like really like inane, basic, almost puzzles. Where it's like, sign this form here, and like, all you have to do is click the right spots on the paperwork that you're given. And like, if you miss one, you lose points or whatever. And it seems like very basic, but then it gets increasingly sinister as these esoteric documents become more and more sinister. And then like, And then you start getting sequences where instead of just at your desk and stuff, now you have the ability to kind of explore the office a little bit more and like find hints and clues. But if you get caught by, the supervisors or whatever, like that's like game over. It restarts. It then becomes sort of a stealth game.
Okay.
And still you go back to your desk when you're appointed to, and you have these inane puzzles that you're still doing where it's just like, okay, click these 3 spots.
No, I like this. This is cool. I think it is very Severance, not to keep referencing all these other things, but in a good way. It's Severance in a good way.
Yeah. All right. So yes, that's
I like that.
Yes, so the game just more and more stealth until you just get into this weird, wild world of like finding out what this place is. This is, and to reference another show, I mean, this is Severance, but Thank You for Calling or something. There was a movie a couple years ago.
I don't know it. I don't know it.
Which had like the similar sort of thing where they are just like an office drone. They're doing like telemarketing, and then they get promoted to like the upper floor, and now they're like selling weapons to dictatorships.
Yeah, I do
and
not
stuff.
think I saw this film, but yeah.
That was just my little diversion. We do have 2 minutes left to come up with a name.
Oh, we do got to name it. Okay. God, Severance is such a good name for a show.
But they've already taken it.
I know, so we can't have it.
I mean, wait, no, we just call it
the
Transaction Housing Commission.
Yeah, and I think the THC should be like not necessarily part of the plot, but like kind of funny. Like it'll be in the logo, and it's kind of like a haha. It's kind of just like a little like haha.
Yeah, just a little wink.
Haha,
a little
that's
wink.
fun. A little wink. Okay, well then that's our show. Thank you so much for joining us. And there's even more I can say, which is you can find us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Make That Game Pod. We have an email address, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com, and you can send us game ideas or games you think that we should play and talk about the design of, or questions that you want us to answer during our question segment. We'd love all of those things. You can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@makethatgame. And we have, we strum.
We strum?
We strummed.
Oh, yes. we have streamed.
One time, and we probably will again. So we are on twitch.tv/makethatgame. If you want to follow us there, and you'll get announcements if we do go live.
I mean, with SGDQ coming up.
Yes, we didn't even talk about it.
We will be doing live.
I think so. Well, we'll see.
That's the end of this month.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I think so about the live, because you might be at a tournament.
Folks, can you believe that?
I've got no
commitment to the craft.
Anyway, but yes, a really quick fun note is SGDQ Summer Games Done Quick is coming right up on May 28th, I believe is the first day.
Yeah, we're a heavily pro SGDQ household
we're so
here.
excited.
And if you're not, don't listen to us.
Or, start watching it and see how it goes.
That's fair. Okay, that's
Start
the
watching
better
it,
choice.
see if you like it.
That's
But
the
yeah,
better choice.
we love the speed runs. We got to go fast in this house. I'm deeply sad that they don't have any Kirby games this time, which is so weird. Kirby,
maybe a secret hidden bonus game. They do that sometimes.
I know. Well, luckily I got to watch a Kirby relay. That was fun.
Yes.
So there's always speed runs to watch out there. Okay. Well, anyway, very exciting. Thank you so much for listening. And if you heard a game today that you say, I need to play this game yesterday, then we encourage you to get out there and
make that
game.